Welcome back to TYT Sports. NBA Conference Finals preview is here. It's ready. It's primed. The Thunder and the Warriors tonight. The Cavs and the Raptors on Tuesday. Joined by Andre Snellings from RotoWire.com. You know him from the Hoops Lab. He's also on the NBA blog. Check him out there with the green headphones. Andre, I'm going to steal from this writer. He's pretty good. You know, I agree with a lot of his points. He made 5 good ones today in this morning's NBA blog, and that has to do with the Thunder and the Warriors. I think his name's Andre Snellings. Any relation?
Yeah, I'm not sure if we're related, but he sounds like a genius, and I would listen to anything he says.
I like one of the YouTube commenters said, I have to listen to what Andre says because he's wearing a lab coat. And if he's wearing a lab coat, it means he's a scientist.
Right. You know, I got the exact opposite of a YouTube comment. Somebody said, why you wearing a lab coat, homie? You ain't no doctor. And I was like, yeah, kind of am.
You get the best,
a little bit.
The comment section, the best of both worlds, the good, the bad, the ugly. We welcome all of them. All right, Andre. So the Thunder and the Warriors, Cavs and the Raptors. Before we get into everything, I was telling Facebook Live before, there's not one expert, according to ESPN, according to Fox Sports, according to CBS Sports, that has the Raptors winning their series or the Thunder winning this series. Now, there's only 4 teams left, and only 2 of them go to the finals, but while 538 says 74% chance for the Cavs and 72% chance for the Warriors, it's not 99.99. It's not 100% chance. Anything could happen in a 7-game series. Let's start with the Thunder and the Warriors, though, because they play tonight. Your first 2 points, which I actually think are great topics to start off with. The Thunder believe they can win and are accustomed to being this, well, cast out the Thunder because they're not the Spurs or the Warriors. Second, as you mentioned, could directly quote you here, they've concentrated their firepower to score with the Warriors even when the Warriors are in video game mode. You're right, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, those guys can score. Cantor, offensive threat, somebody I've been calling Anus this whole entire time, now deserves to be called Ennis. Because he played some good defense in that series against the Spurs, and of course, always been a legitimate threat offensively. I'm not going to shortcome Steven Adams. Some of the best quotes in the NBA come from Steven Adams. Andre, what is it that the Thunder have to do to beat the 73-win Warriors?
Where you started, that first point, I think is a really key one. And we got another quote from Russell Westbrook today saying essentially, Steph Curry ain't nothing I ain't never seen before.
He's a shooter. I mean, he's not nothing I haven't seen. Little him, Lillard, guys like that can shoot the basketball from 4 or 5 feet behind the 3. You got to do a little different job, but just be physical.
They really are not impressed with Golden State. And I think that's really important because they expect to beat them. They're not going into this like, woo, you know, we're trying to topple Goliath. They're going in like, I put my pants on a leg at a time just like you, and we're going to go at it. And I think attitude more than anything else is what they need because they have the talent. You know, another thing I pointed out in that article is kind of the matchups. Both the Thunder and the Warriors are both similar at defending point guards. So Westbrook and Curry, you would think might be on an even plane. The problem for the Warriors, or the hope, I guess, for the Thunder, is that the Warriors suck at defending opposing small forwards. They might, I mean, I think according to this site I was looking at, they're like 26th in the NBA in production allowed to opposing small forwards. And you saw that during the regular season. Kevin Durant went nuts every time they played. I think he averaged like 36 and 12 or something over those 3 games.
That's video game mode.
Yeah, that's video game mode. And really before this season, I think Durant was thought of as the better scorer than Steph Curry. So while Steph Curry can be really intimidating when he goes on one of those runs when he hits 7 3-pointers in a row or something, and Klay Thompson's the same way, Kevin Durant's like, I can do that too. And Russell Westbrook, he's not scared of anybody. So I really think that if you're talking strategy, then that moves on to a different part of the conversation, which I think we have coming up. But just in general, I think they have the talent and I think they have the attitude. And so that's what makes it a really compelling series to me.
Absolutely. And that's a perfect segue also to strategy because you mentioned in the article as well, the Cantor-Adams lineup, and this is where I want to give Billy Donovan a lot of credit. It was a big gamble for him to choose offense over defense against a team like the Spurs who fundamentally, and when it comes to execution, pretty much are the best at it. And strategically, we've seen them do it all year long. We've seen them do it in the past, and it's led them to win championships. The Thunder stopped that completely, and one of the main reasons that they took games on their home court, I should say the Thunder took games in San Antonio, is that Cantor-Adams rotation. Adams was enough, a body, to stop Tim Duncan, who age obviously was a factor. And when you look at Serge Ibaka in that rotation too, kind of sits on the wing and is good for blocks. His name fits perfectly for it. But again, Cantor, I thought, became one of the biggest difference makers because, you know, if he's going to put up 17 and 15, right? To me, that doesn't mean anything if you're letting your man put up 20 and 16. Because on the defensive end of the floor, that was what we saw all season long. Now, if he's putting up these big numbers and he's limiting his matchups to doing that same amount, then you have yourselves a nice plus-minus. On off-court, box plus-minus, all the advanced numbers start to favor someone like Cantor, and I think he's going to be a huge difference maker if the Thunder are to win the series. What do you think they have to do strategically to really take, again, they got to win in Golden State and they have to protect their home court. How do they do it, and how do the Warriors respond, of course, on that angle as well?
Right. So what the Thunder found last round was the correct formula for the Spurs. You know, they've got, and I guess what they have and what they'll be working with moving forward with the Warriors, they have three, really you could call it four big men. People that can play the 4 or 5 slot effectively. And they all do it different ways. Adams is a rugged big body. He's going to crash the boards. Mm-hmm. He was really important against the Spurs because the Spurs play big. You know, when they have Duncan and Aldridge on the court at the same time, that's 2 7-footers, you know, so that's not the norm in today's NBA. And so Adams was big, and then Cantor's ability to space the floor from the big man slot was, and really Ibaka can too. He can hit that corner three. So the three of them, you can mix and match what's the best big man rotation. But what they have that I think will be important against the Warriors is they also have this 6'11" small forward named Durant who can slide over to the 4 if need be. And that's key because that's one of the things that the Warriors do. They have they start a traditional lineup with a 7-foot center, mm-hmm. and then Draymond Green. People think he's undersized, but he's really not. His arms are ridiculously long, so he's actually reasonably sized for a power forward. So they start the traditional lineup, but then when they get deadly is when they kick that big man to the bench and let Draymond play the point center. I mean, you were talking about plus minus. Their plus minus for any 5-man unit that features Draymond at the point center is absurd because teams can't react to that on both ends of the court. Mm-hmm. And what the Thunder have is the pieces to react to that. Now, whether it's going to be in his Cantor, who's called upon because he's a stretch 3, so he can help him score with them. I mean, I'm sorry, stretch 5, so he can help him score. Mm-hmm. Whether it's going to be Durant at the power forward and therefore, you know, any other big man at the center. Or really, if Draymond's playing center, they might even try Durant at the center. I mean, what Thunder have and what Billy Donovan will need to work with is they have a lot of flexibility. So he's got to find, the same way he found it in the last round, he's got to find the balance that works against the Warriors.
One of the best moments of the year, if not the #1 highlight from 2015-16 season, is Curry running up the court with a timeout remaining and nailing a 42-foot three-pointer, I believe, to win the game in Oklahoma City. That is something that Durant and Westbrook have not forgotten. That is something the Thunder fans haven't forgotten. And if you don't think there's going to be at least some bitterness, revenge, any motivation that they're going to find is going to come from that, or at least those games this year. So I know your prediction. I need you to say it for the audience, though, because I know part of your prediction is also to go against the norm, which is totally cool, and you'd be the only person. But what is that prediction?
Yeah, I went with the Thunder in 6. As you pointed out, you know, I do acknowledge in the article that the Warriors, I mean, they're the favorites. They would be expected to win this series. I was on the radio earlier today, and I estimated, you know, what I say, 60-40, 55-45 would be the Warriors' expected advantage. But to me, I feel like, as you pointed out, the Thunder were leading all 3 games in the regular season in the fourth quarter. And then they collapsed. And the question is, did the Thunder collapse or did the Warriors take it? The Warriors are obviously a great team late. But right through in there, it wasn't just the Warriors who were doing that to the Thunder. The Clippers were. The Thunder just had this stretch right around those games where they just lost a lot of fourth quarter leads. And it felt like they were kind of struggling a bit as a team, trying to figure out their identity late. against the Spurs in the last round, it really looked like the Thunder found themselves, even late in games. You saw some of those crazy finishes, but the Thunder were right there. They weren't beating themselves. There were times that the Spurs thought they had it, and the Thunder came back and took it. So if they can play 48 minutes or overtime if need be, essentially not shrinking down the stretch, then I think they can steal one of those games in Golden State.
Oh, absolutely.
And if so, then
And the reason
6.
I believe they can steal one in Golden State is because they stole 2 in San Antonio. That was the greatest home regular season team in the history of basketball. So I would not be shocked if the Thunder steal. And I don't even want to call it stealing. I think both of these teams would earn wins on the opposing team's courts at this point. But that's just the phrase. I have the Warriors in 7, just like every other freaking person out there. But I also believe this is a series that's going to showcase, highlight, and define this era of basketball. I think it's going to be more exciting than whatever NBA Finals brings us, even though I'm looking forward to that as well. But speaking of, someone's got to meet the Warriors or Thunder in the finals, and it's either the Cavs or the Raptors. You have the all-too experienced LeBron James, who's trying to go back to another NBA Finals for the 35th year in a row. He's been here since the 80s, believe it or not. What he does with his hairline, we do not know either. But LeBron and the Cavs are clicking. They look terrifying. They've had a week and a half off to rest, which is huge. The Raptors coming off a 7-game, pretty ugly series altogether with the Heat. I've always thought when I was talking about the Game 7 recap this morning, I think the Raptors live and die by their backcourt. Even though Biyombo stepped up, and Damari Carroll, 3-and-D guy, played very well, and Jonas Valanciunas, who at least according to RotoWire is expected to be back on May 19th, so around Game 3, Game 4. All those pieces, all those moving pieces together, I still think this is a gentleman's sweep, 4-1. The Raptors get one for Jurassic Park in their home territory. I just think the Cavs have too many answers, too much flexibility, and the LeBron James factor that's going to pretty much they're not going to be able to challenge that aspect of the Cavs offense and defense. Do you agree, disagree? Do you think the Raptors can steal a couple extra games here?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I really kind of thought all season that the Spurs had been slow playing because they were resting their players so much, and I was like, well, wait till they get to the playoffs and you'll see what they can really do. And what we found out in the last round is they were really playing at capacity.
Yeah.
Well, the Cavs, I do believe, really have been slow playing. And they've even been slow playing the playoffs. Like, they've swept 2 series, but every game is close enough that I don't think people are really looking at it like, wow, they're dominating. But, they really are. And it seems like they've found their identity with the kind of move Mozgov to the bench and, play small ball, put 5 3-point shooters out there. And when you do that, and the centerpiece is LeBron James, it's really, as we've seen, it's really difficult to stop them unless they just go cold. So the Raptors, I feel like we had a show about them late in the season. We said that this was the year they were going to get that playoff monkey off their back, get through a couple of rounds. They've done that. I just don't think they're as good as the Cavs. I think that with Kyle Lowry, I think that late season injury hurt him a lot. And so people were saying, well, he's having a bad playoffs. I really think he was just playing himself back into shape. And he seems to have done that now. And that gives him a bit of a puncher's chance because Lowry, he's a dog. But I can't imagine any way that they win 4 games out of 7, barring major injury issues from Cleveland.
So I have Cavs in 5. Andre, you think they steal one, or you think it's a full sweep?
I'm going Cavs in 5 too. I think that, honestly, I feel like that's almost a chalk pick,
I know. It's very bold here on TYT Sports. The Cavs in 5. We need Raptors in 4 is what people want to hear.
Yeah, but as you pointed out before, you never know what's going to happen.
That's true.
And, I got on the air a couple of weeks ago after the Spurs beat the Thunder by about 107 in the first game and picked the Spurs in 5 in that series. So, that's why they play it.
All right, we're going to wrap it up. So make sure you leave your predictions in the comment section below. The Thunder and the Warriors should be a series for the ages. The Raptors and Cavs, who knows? Maybe that's the real series of the ages with the underdog, the North. Fear the North, the Kings of the North. Game of Thrones references are here, don't worry.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. for the Toronto Raptors. Comment below with what you think is going to happen with your predictions. Let us know your thoughts and what you think the mismatches, the lineups. If you're coaching these games, how do you coach them, and how do you coach to win? Who's making the finals? Follow at Professor DRZ. That is Andre on Twitter. Make sure to go to the Hoops Lab columns on RotoWire and the NBA blog on RotoWire. Some great articles there. As for myself, at JasonRubin91 on Instagram and Twitter, and TYT Sports.